In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Now get set again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if we can deal with the competition tonight. Sharknado is on, but we're going to do our best. We got two great guests on. Here we go.
War.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
Live from the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing? Gene Baradelli here, flying solo tonight. It's been a while since I've done a solo show. I'm glad I got a whole bunch of you in the chat room hanging out with me tonight for what's going to be a fantastic triple header of guests. A veritable cavalcade of conservatism coming at you tonight, right here on Behind Enemy Lines. Again, thanks everybody in the chat room for hanging out with us. We're going to be talking to Judson Phillips, the founder and creator of Tea Party Nation. Go to teapartynation.com, check out what Judson's all about. We're going to be going a little wonkish. I know some of you wonks out there are going to like that. Talking about some legislation. For once, a conservative coming on air, not to bury Congress, but to actually praise them for taking action with regards to the IRS scandal and targeting of conservatives. We're also going to be talking to Matt Schlapp, the chairman of the American Conservative Union, the people that put on CPAC every year. You know the organization. Matt, of course, is a former political director for President George W. Bush's campaign. And we're going to be talking some presidential candidates with him, especially the latest news of Ohio Governor John Kasich jumping the race. We got a sweet 16 of candidates right now. Some people think they're sweet, some people think they're sour. I like to think on the bright side of life. I like to think that they're pretty sweet in their own way, you know? I think we got a real good, wide range of the conservative movement, whether you are a fiscal conservative, a hawk, a social conservative, a libertarian, Tea Party, whatever the case may be, we got it for you this year in 2016 coming up. It's going to be a great time talking to Matt about that and to get some of the insider view from the real kingmakers in the conservative movement and what they're thinking and saying about these candidates, especially the newest ones that are in. And of course, how can we not talk about Donald Trump? I mean, if I get on his bad side, he might put my cell phone number out there to everybody. I'm not doing it. No way, no how. Then later on in the show, one of our many contributors for Behind Enemy Lines and Politichick, Mona Salama, will be coming on the show. She's going to let us know what went down in the People's Republic of New York City today at the Stop Iran rally that featured George Pataki, Alan West, and other speakers talking about the Iran deal that is going to be pending before Congress. Of course, we all know the deal with that, folks. We know it's a bad deal. We know that it shouldn't be passed. We know that we didn't hit any of the benchmarks that we should have in the deal. We've left Americans behind and haven't even negotiated for their release in the deal. We talked about it at length last week. Check us out on demand on SoundCloud, Behind Enemy Lines. And like I said in the opening, we're up against Sharknado during our live show here tonight. So if you're not watching the campiness that is Sharknado, I'm taping it myself, by the way. I'll definitely be watching it later. You might say I'm podcasting that show in order to do this live show, but you can podcast this show by going to our show archives at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. So, like I said, we have the chat room going. It's pumping out a lot of comments, a lot of support from me with every single little screw-up that happens over here. And we're going to get Judson on the line a little bit. If you have questions in the chat room for any of our guests when we talk on the show, feel free to let me know in the chat. I borrow questions and comments from the chat room whenever we can. So, if you are in the chat, hanging out with us, thank you very much. If you're not, next week, folks, come on in, sit right down, pull up a chair, and let's talk some conservative politics behind enemy lines. I believe I have Judson on the line right now. Judson, are you there?
I am here. Are you there?
Great. Okay. We had some technical glitches to go on here, so I am glad to have you on, pal. How are things in Washington, D.C.?
Things were actually hot there when I was there last week, but it's an interesting place. You understand? I think it was Otto Bismarck's truism: legislation is like sausage; you should never see it made. Go up and spend any amount of time up there, and you understand why that's true.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, nobody really wants to go to Capitol Hill to see the deals and the wheeling going on there. But in this particular case, we seem to be joining together to talk tonight to not bury Congress, but to actually praise them, Judson?
Praise the House and possibly the Senate if they will do the right thing. And here's why. There is something going on that is called, let me back up. We all know that the Obama regime has, for lack of a better term, weaponized the IRS to be used against Obama's political opponents, especially the conservative movements, especially Tea Party groups, because that's what the left does. They try to destroy their opposition. Well, we saw this earlier when we had Lois Lerner, as she tried to even set up to have conservative leaders of conservative groups indicted. The IRS has started something new, and it involves something under the law that's called the gift tax. Now, the gift tax is something that's in the Internal Revenue Code, and basically what it means in plain non-lawyer English is if you give more than $14,000 to some individual, some group, some whatever, then that triggers the gift tax threshold. And what's really draconian about the gift tax is the recipient is not taxed. It's the donor that's taxed. Now, why is this important? Well, the IRS has gone after a few conservative donors and sent them notices. These are people that have given large amounts to particularly 501c4 organizations and said, hey, you guys may have some gift tax liability. And, of course, that scares the living daylight out of any of these big donors, because one of the first things they all try to do is avoid any type of tax liability, and a lot of their economic planning, their fiscal planning, involves avoiding tax liability. So this scares the living daylights out of them. So Congress, some Republicans in Congress have stepped up. Pete Roskam, who's the Illinois congressman, he's the chairman of the House Ways and Means Oversight Committee, got a bill passed. It was called H.R. 1104, but it's now been passed. It was the Equal Treatment for All Gifts Act. And basically what it says is the IRS cannot treat gift tax cases different based on the politics of the parties involved. This bill has now gone to the Senate, where it's been introduced by Ohio Senator Rob Portman. It's Bill S-942, the Equal Treatment for All Gifts Act. And right now this is in a committee in the Senate, which is the normal order for things to do. But if it will ever get passed and becomes law, it says the IRS cannot discriminate against a group because if they choose to try to claim gift tax on them based on the politics of the donors involved. And of course, given how politicized we've seen the IRS, anything we can do to try and neuter these guys, we have got to get done.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And, I'm thinking, is there anything in the legislative history, whether it's in Congressman Roxham's bill or in the Senate bill from Senator Portman, that touches on the scandal in the legislative history? Is this bill being put forth directly because of the IRS scandal?
It is being put forth because of the way the IRS was starting to treat gifts to conservative organizations. Remember, in 2014, of all the 501c4 groups that the IRS chose to audit, every last one of them was a conservative political group. No liberal groups were targeted, all conservative groups. And now the IRS, I was talking to a congressman on Capitol Hill this past week, and the IRS is sending out these letters and getting in touch with some of these donors, just suggesting that they might have a gift tax problem. And of course, it's having the effect of chilling these donors. Some of these donors have decided they don't want to give anymore. Of course, that's the goal here, is to try and silence conservative C4 groups while allowing left-wing C4 groups to run roughshod. And of course, again, going back to what I said earlier, that's the manner of the left. They silence their opposition. By the way, one thing that's interesting and worth mentioning, back a couple of years ago, the chairman of the head of the IRS was testifying in front of Congress, and back then he said, we don't have enough resources right now to enforce the gift tax law. So the only people that are getting gift tax law at least potentially enforced on are conservative donors to 501c4 groups. So doesn't that say something about the IRS?
Isn't that so convenient, right? The things, when it comes to the IRS, nothing surprises me anymore, Judson. I mean, just personally, in my practice, I have a 501c3 application for an educational foundation that is waiting on year 3 for their tax exemption. Nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to the IRS. We have a question from our chat room. Not so much on topic with the bill, Judson, but it's more directed to you and Tea Party Nation. They'd like to know whether, the question, I'm going to read it verbatim. Does Judson know that his and Tea Party Nation's voluminous tweets are both influential and inspirational? That's not me talking, Judson. That's our chat room talking to you right there.
Hey, listen, I paid them well to tweet that and say that in the chat room. No, seriously, I don't know who said that, but thank you very much. I do appreciate the kind words. Yeah, we try to have a great social media presence to try and get out there and influence discourse in this nation and try to influence the way things go. And by the way, I have one bit of news which I haven't shared with anybody yet, and if you want, I'll break it right here on your show.
Break news, Judson. We love to break news on this show. Do it, pal.
All right, well, now I was going to give you the disclaimer. This does sort of qualify under the heading of shameless self-promotion. But I'm pleased to announce Tea Party Nation has got an app out finally. And if you go to either the Apple Store, the App Store on Apple for the iPhone, Google's Play Store, or I forget what for Windows Phone what the App Store is called for them. Just do a quick search for Tea Party Nation, and you'll find the app. And we send out some. We don't bug you. We will rarely push the notifications out, because you know how some places will do that, push the notifications out, and your phone buzzes, and you're sitting there going, "What's going on? What's going on?" Well, we try not to bug people that way, but we send out some great stuff, and you just punch the button on for the app and get some great things you won't get anyplace else. So forgive me for a little bit of shameless self-promotion. We're rolling out the announcement on this tomorrow, but I'm an impatient guy. I figured I'd beat everybody to the punch.
Shameless self-promotion is also what we do on the show, pal. So listen, we want everybody to go to teapartynation.com. We want everybody to check out the new app. Judson, I gotta get going because I got Matt Schlapp calling in right now. Thanks, pal. And we're gonna put more information about the bill up on our blog, www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check out Judson at Judson Phillips on Twitter, folks. Thanks again, Judson.
Hey, thank you, and let's talk again soon.
You know it, pal. And we're going rapid fire right now, because on the line with me right now, I believe this is the Honorable Chairman. Oh, wait, it may have dropped off. No, he's still there. The Honorable Chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Matt, is that you on the line with us right now?
It is me.
Oh, my goodness, in the flesh, I might faint. How are you, sir?
Oh, come on, don't flatter me.
Well, listen, I mean, this is kind of what we do on this show. We take good care of our guests. Matt, I want to let you know first and foremost, after due consideration and a lot of thinking and soul-searching, I am not going to be running for president in 2016. I'm sure you're very happy to know that. It's one less one you can check off your list.
We have lost number 17.
I know. It's a shame. Don't worry. I'm sure there's another 1,500 or so right behind me ready to step in line. But
there are more people thinking about it as the days go on, it seems like.
It definitely does. Now, let me ask you, sir, because you're pretty much as close to the inside as little old me can get. Is this going to be a brawl? I called it a Sweet 16 when we first started, because I think that we're running the gamut and we have a wide range of candidates. But is this going to turn into a pure sixer?
I think it's going to be a very, very lively process. I think we have 16 really highly charged, very talented, very ambitious candidates, and they're going to have a very rigorous debate over what the party stands for and what they each would do and why each one of them is better than the rest. And, hey, what's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm glad that we have a good mix of fiscal conservatives, hawks, social conservatives, libertarians, grassroots Tea Party people. But I want to get into a little bit of the current events going on with candidates. Of course, Governor Kasich of Ohio announced you're on record calling him, and I'm quoting you here from one of your releases, a perfect candidate on paper. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, he really checks all the boxes. If you think about it, if you were to kind of go into the laboratory and come up with the perfect Republican candidate, you might come up with someone like John Kasich. He was a conservative budget cruncher in the House of Representatives. He's a religious Christian. He's got a nice family. He's from a hugely important state of Ohio, where he's now the governor, where he can kind of run against Washington. He's got that great blue-collar story of how he grew up, which he talked about yesterday or the other day in his announcement. So in many ways, he checks every box. Okay, and now when we talk about a candidate that doesn't check every box, we got to be talking about Donald Trump. Now, I know that I don't know how many boxes he checks. Oh, could you say he's a few boxes short of a full sheet, maybe? But yeah, one thing that I found, he's the opposite. He's unconventional. Right, and you have said in the past that he's taken the outsider position, which may well be the pole position in politics in this day and age. Can someone who has no
real government experience and has no real campaign experience be a front runner and sustain it from now until Super Tuesday?
I don't know about that. I think these polls are going to bounce around for a while. I do think Donald Trump is really unique, and I think he catches on because he's plain spoken. I've said that he talks like some of us talk when the cameras are off, but he just talks that way when the cameras are on. He doesn't really care if people get offended, and if it seems like it can be a little rude at times. He says it like it is, and I think it really catches on with people. Here's the dynamic I see. Washington has really never been this broken. The Senate really doesn't pass anything. We are totally stuck in this partisanship, and the American people are very tired of Washington, especially after 7 years of Obama's radical policies. And I think they just love the idea of a candidate who's never been elected to office and who's on the outside and will take it on. And I think Donald Trump is that candidate. I think Ben Carson is that candidate. I think Carly Fiorina is that candidate. I think Ted Cruz is trying to be that candidate, even though he is, a senator. And I think Bernie Sanders, although he's been a long-time elected official, I think he's that candidate against Hillary Clinton.
I think you've definitely hit on something, Matt, when you're talking about the grassroots or the populist message that a lot of people are responding to in the GOP side. It's also happening on the Democratic side. I mean, we've seen Hillary Clinton's numbers drop in 3 very important swing states for Republicans. So it seems like this is the time where the populists are trying to say, we want something different on both sides almost.
Well, Hillary Clinton is the worst example. There is not another candidate like her on either side. She has spent her whole career in Washington, being about Washington, knowing all the movers and the shakers and the insiders in America and around the globe. She has become wealthy in the process. She's become, I think, a bit detached. She hasn't driven a car for a couple of decades. And I think she's actually turning out to be a much worse candidate than I ever imagined. But she just doesn't match the times. The Americans across this country are tired of Obama. They're tired of his policies. And they want to try a different model. And so, at least for this period of time, the candidates that look like they're the most anti-Washington are the ones that are doing the best.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. But now here's my concern, and I want to know if you share this concern with me. In talking to Rafi Williams and other people at the RNC, we're being told that there's going to be at least one debate a month starting next month and going on through the caucuses and the early primaries. At what point do we start worrying about that this is going to be white noise?
Gene, it's a great question. I don't know. I think actually Republicans across the country are pretty excited for this first debate. I know the American Conservative Union, which is the group I chair, we're going to have a debate watching party and an all-day training exercise in Cleveland, and we're getting great response from people around the country who are going to travel to go there. So I think there's a lot of enthusiasm for this process. Now, over time, will people tire of it? And that's a great question. I mean, the RNC took a calculated risk. They said, you know what, we ought to shorten the time period in which we have debates, and we ought to shorten the time period in which this primary process can go on. When I read and saw that, I said, well, I hope they realize that if we have someone pop onto the in this process, if we have somebody pop, they could get enough momentum to get the nomination, and it might be somebody that they're not particularly comfortable with. So, they've changed the rules, they've changed the process. We're going to see if it works in the way that they planned.
Sounds good to me. And also, folks, what Matt was talking about was the Get Ready to Fight Buckeye Boot Camp and Debate Watch Party happening on August 6th at the House of Blues on 308 Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, 2 blocks away from the Fox News Republican primary debate. You have a great slate of guests, by the way, coming to this, Matt, from Guy Benson to KT McFarland. You got the boot camp set up in the afternoon, and then in the evening, speeches, VIP visits, and then the watch party. You guys might be going all night at this thing.
We might be going all night, and I can tell you, for anybody who wants to make the trip to Cleveland, my guess is you'll be seeing a half dozen or so of the presidential candidates that come over to tell us why they thought they did great in the debate. I think, we're going to have a huge crowd, and I just think all the enthusiasm is on the Republican side. The Democratic side, they're trying to push Hillary. They're trying to prop her up. They're trying to rationalize why she's the right person. But on the Republican side, we have energy, we have enthusiasm, and quite frankly, we are ready to win.
I believe that, and I think all the candidates out there believe that. It's going to be fun to watch all that passion up on the stage during the debate in Cleveland. And listen, Matt, do me a favor. Tell everybody, of course, CPAC, my favorite event on the political calendar. Forget about the convention. It's always CPAC for me. Of course, coming up next March at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center in beautiful National Harbor. We want everybody to show up there. Of course, I hope to be there, covering it as well. What do you have? It's actually the day after Super Tuesday. You have any surprises in store for us?
I think that the thing we're going to have to first ascertain, and you said it correctly, it's between the Super Tuesday and the Big Southern primary that following weekend. We're going to have to ascertain what the state of the Republican nominating process is in, and how we showcase what's happening there, because conservatives want to make sure that their voice is amplified in the primary process. So that's the first thing we're going to have to determine. We're going to have to make a decision of who gets invited, who might not get invited, who gets that special opportunity to connect to conservatives and get all that national press. But I would say the biggest surprise, I think, will hopefully not be that surprising, which is, I think by the time we get to March, we will have unified, we will have pulled this back together, and we'll start to be thinking, we might not have a nominee yet, but we're going to start thinking about, okay, how do we beat the Clinton political machine? Now, there is just a chance come March of next year that Hillary Clinton is not lining up to get their nomination. And if that's the case, this is going to be one interesting presidential campaign in November. But I will tell you, I want to run against Hillary Clinton. I think she's weak. I think that she's past her prime, and I think that they're propping her up. And I think our party should wish that she gets the nomination.
I'm with you there on that, Matt, for sure. Of course, we see her numbers dropping like a stone in swing states. We see many different Republicans already beating her in the polls by more than the margin of error at this point, which is pretty phenomenal if you ask me. And you have Salon begging to draft Al Gore, of all things. I think it's absolutely a sign of weakness, and I think we're going to jump on it. And hopefully we'll be down to at least 15 candidates by the time CPAC rolls around.
Well, Gene, one thing that's going to happen as we get to August 6th and we have 10 candidates on the main stage is, as we go through this debate process, it's going to make it hard for candidates who don't make that stage to continue to raise the money they need to be relevant. Not all of them. I think some that don't make that stage will continue to have vigorous campaigns. But for others, their narrative will be harder to make. And so this field will narrow, and we're going to get to that point where it's down to a couple of folks, and I'm confident we're going to have a fantastic nominee.
Absolutely. I'm confident in that as well. Folks, you've been listening to Matt Schlapp, the chair of the American Conservative Union. Check out his organization's website at conservative.org. And, of course, follow him at MSCHLAPP on the Twitters. And while you're on the Twitters, definitely follow the American Conservative Union at, I believe it's ACU Conservatives? I'll put it into the chat room for sure, and we'll correct it. ACU Conservative, and at CPAC. Definitely go to CPAC. If you can go to Cleveland, go to the debates, hang out with Matt and all the VIPs he's bringing. It'll be an experience you won't forget. Matt Schlapp, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out so long tonight. I know Sharknado's on. You probably want to get back to it. So thanks for hanging out and talking to us, pal.
Gene, you're awesome to have me on. Thank you for all your allegiance to CPAC, and thanks for encouraging everybody to follow us. We got all these horrible things going on, from the Iran nuke deal to the atrocities with Planned Parenthood to, the Obama-thon that never seems to end. And if we all can work together, I think we can take our country back.
Sounds great to me. I'm with you, pal. Matt Schlapp, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll talk to you sometime down the road in 2016. Thanks so much, pal.
Sounds great, Gene. Have a great evening.
You too. And that was Matt Schlapp from the American Conservative Union talking some 2016 politics with us. We're at halftime here, folks, on Behind Enemy Lines. I want to say thank you so much for being on the show with me. I'm Gene Baradelli. My partner, Russ Gallo, shout out to him, currently on drill with the New York National Guard. He'll be back with us very soon. And while I got you listening to this show, check out the official website of this here show. That's www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on Facebook, on the Twitters, at BEL_radio, and check out the place where this show came from. That's the Brooklyn Young Republicans at www.brooklynYRS.com. We're going to pause briefly for some station identification. You're listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. We'll be back after this and a few brief words.
You are listening to War Radio. This is where we assassinate liberal lies with documented facts and obliterate moderate Republicans who want to join their side. We are America Radio.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Hey, how you doing? This is Vito.
And this is Vito.
We're here from the Vito and Vito Show.
And we're excited to be on War Radio with our newfound hero, Wayne Dupree.
We're just two college Republicans with a mic and a computer, and thanks to Wayne, here we are.
Wait, where are we?
We're on War,
the #1 political news station on Live365.com.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Baradelli back behind enemy lines, and during the interview we did with Matt Schlapp just now, I want to thank him so much for coming on the show, and I got to thank Judson Phillips as well. We had some rapid-fire guests come on here, one right after another, bing, bang, boom. That's kind of the way we do it here behind enemy lines. But during the interview with Matt Schlapp from the American Conservative Union, we touched on some of the big news that's been hovering under the radar, thanks to the Donald Trump news that's been going around. And that is the dropping like a stone of the Hillary Clinton campaign amongst her own populist grassroots core. Now, I don't know if anybody watched Morning Joe on MSNB. I want to say S, but it's NBC. And I know I don't watch it, but I did see some links earlier today pointing to a segment of the show that's wanted to be about bashing Donald Trump. But it turns out that they buried the lead. The real news of the polling that was done was that Hillary Clinton is dropping not only within her own party, but against multiple different Republican candidates in 3 different swing states. Take a listen to this clip from MSNBC's Morning Joe, and you'll hear exactly what I mean. And be astonished that this isn't talked about widely during this news cycle. Take a listen.
You know, new polls of the general electorate in 3 swing states out this morning. Donald Trump unpopular in all of them. Trump has negative ratings of almost 2-1 in Iowa, Virginia, and Colorado, but there's more to it than that. Because former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's numbers in those same states are not much better, only in Virginia are her approval ratings significantly higher than Trump's.
Wow. Wait, that's among the general electorate. Hillary Clinton is upside down by 23 points in Iowa?
I think we kind of missed a lead here.
Hillary is upside down by 23 in Iowa. She's upside down by 9 in Virginia, which she has to win. She's upside down by 23 in Colorado. And Mika, I think we just, in that one snapshot, has shown, and I'm sure Jeb Bush's isn't much better, why somebody out of, I was going to say left field, he's not left field or right field, why somebody like Donald Trump attacking politicians is actually getting support. Those numbers, I think you're right. I think we did bury the lead. If everybody is saying that that Donald Trump is never going to get the nomination, and everybody thinks Hillary Clinton is going to get the nomination, put those numbers up again.
Oh, well, we'll put them up again.
Those numbers
Jonathan has something to say, and then I've...
The numbers are stunning. Mona Salama is on the line with us right now. Hey, Mona, how are you today?
Good, busy. It's been a crazy day. Let me put my headset
I bet you
on,
are.
so
We're going to talk about what you were doing today a little bit later. But I wanted to get your thoughts. We just played part of the clip from MSNBC's Morning Joe, where everyone is in panic mode because Hillary Clinton is dropping like a stone in 3 different swing states.
Yeah, because everybody started to realize she's not trustworthy. She's not out there talking to the media like other people are. She has a lot of things she's hiding under her closet or under her jumpsuit, whatever the hell she wears. And pretty much it's just she's not talking to the people. And the rallies that she organized with her and her campaign staff is all pre-set, where it's only people that know Hillary or know the campaign manager, and it's only their people. It's within their circle, pretty much. So it's not like somebody where I attended the rally today, where it's out there for the whole American people, or wherever she's at. It's only for a certain amount of people to go see her.
Right. I think her being in her little cocoon, like you were saying, not meeting with the press, not meeting the people, impressing the flesh, the rope lines in New Hampshire to keep the press away, all of that, plus the email scandal is all coming back to haunt her.
About that rope thing, she's lucky I wasn't there, because you know me, I have a tendency of not taking no for an answer, and I always get what I want. But anyways, going back to the real issue. Yeah, the email scandal. It's not being blown up because right now Donald Trump is taking over the airwaves, and then us Republicans are fighting with each other right now, which is a good thing because we're heading to the debate in 2 weeks. So Hillary's just seeing us having the KO punches with each other, and instead of just going out there and trying to show to go against Bernie Sanders or whoever she's going to go run against, she's just trying to hide within the spotlight because she thinks by December, January, by the time we figure out which of the 15 or 17 candidates, whoever's going to be the last man standing, she thinks she's going to make it to the top from there. But then when you realize the top 3 is Walker, Bush, and Rubio, no chance in hell, especially losing in 3 swing states.
Absolutely. And let's explain to people a little more about what we're talking about. Here's another portion of that Morning Joe clip. Mona, take a listen to this. I know you can't hear it on your phone. Listen to it on the show if you can. Here's another portion of that show where we're talking about Hillary Clinton, kind of under the radar in the news because of Donald Trump, but her numbers are plummeting. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, and Mika, so yes, let us assume that everybody around the table is right. That all of our guests this morning are right, and that Donald Trump is never going to be relevant. So let's assume that. Let's say you guys are all right. Doesn't matter what people say about Donald Trump. What matters is you look at these polls, if everybody around the table says Hillary's going to be the Democratic nominee, what, Chuck Todd, if Chuck's there, Chuck, what does the Democratic Party do about numbers like this in Iowa, Virginia, and other important swing states? Colorado, for God's sake.
Joe, I was just having this conversation with our own staff yesterday. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, the biggest story of the summer would be Hillary Clinton's problems solidifying herself inside the Democratic Party. It would be it would be the Bernie Sanders boomlet. It would be this issue of, what we're seeing here, I think, is both parties are seeing its populist base flex its muscles in different ways. Trump is tapping into it. I kind of think we need to move on from Trump, the personality, and focus more on the people that are attracted to Trump. That is an important story. We can, look, we've all tried to sit there and be, it's people that have felt marginalized by a lot of things, Joe. They have felt marginalized by this economy. They have felt marginalized by the political establishment. They have felt marginalized by the media. So guess what? When we marginalize Donald Trump, they sit there and say, just like me.
Right. And right about here is when MSNBC went into panic mode.
Whenever she's been out front as the face of the Democratic Party, her numbers have gone down. Yeah. They always have. Whenever she has been the focal point. When she has been...
Why is that, Chuck?
You could just simply say she doesn't wear well.
Yeah.
When she was... when Bill Clinton was the face, and she would see her numbers go up as sort of a supportive spouse or a victim. When Barack Obama was president and she was Secretary of State, she was praised and viewed nicely by the public as sort of an operator that didn't embarrass the country, as Secretary of State and, stayed above the fray. Whenever she has been front and center, candidate in 07, Barack Obama surpasses her, and here she is again.
So let's look at exactly those three critical swing states. Clinton loses across the board to Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, and former Governor Jeb Bush. Clinton performs worse.
Okay, what's happened? Mika, what's happened in this short period of time? What's happened?
I'm not done. Clinton performs worst in Iowa and Colorado, where she is down by sizable margins. Scott Walker performs best of the three candidates matched against her. And in Virginia, Clinton keeps the margins closer but is still trailing. Shockingly, the poll finds Bernie Sanders performing nearly as well as Clinton and even better against Jeb Bush in Iowa and Colorado, to Chuck's point, Joe.
Scary, scary times in loony liberal land, but it's the first crack in the electoral map. But, Mona, back to Donald Trump. So when you marginalize Donald Trump, Mona, that is where people respond, and that's where they're resonating. Because people feel left behind by government, and they see Donald Trump going through the same struggles politically that they go through every day. Do you think that they're onto something in MSNBC, believe it or not? It sounds plausible.
Yeah. Yeah, they're right. Donald Trump is actually speaking like a regular New Yorker. And, we have in our email chat, what we always talk about. I'm like, yeah, so what? Donald Trump is saying what we always say all the time. But it's just the way how he's saying it is everybody's like, wake up, America. And they're like, holy crap, this guy is actually right. Especially when that whole illegal immigration with the guy killing that innocent pretty girl. Then he was on his egomaniac trip, and he was on top of the world. Next thing you know, he starts trying to gosh, Senator McCain. I don't like the guy personally, but at the end of the day, I'm going to respect him because he was a wartime hero. He was a prisoner of war captive for 5.5 years. You don't say because he was captive and he was a loser, that's why I lost all respect for him. You didn't even serve our damn country, and you have no right to go talk to somebody who's actually dead. And then you have another then what he did yesterday, giving out the guy's number because the guy called you a jackass.
Lindsey Graham, right.
Yeah. You actually are a jackass for giving out the guy's number. And then I took those polls on my Facebook, and people are like, yeah, we should have our senators and our congressmen's numbers. No, we shouldn't. That's their private lives. If you want to talk to them, call them in their office number. Email them.
I agree with you totally there, Mona. And by the way, let's plug what Mona's doing right now. Everybody go on Facebook, and find my friend Mona Salama. Go on Twitter to @politicalcrazy. Find Mona Salama. She is, I believe, just a couple times a week, or just about at least every week, coming up with a poll question.
Well, I was supposed to do it every day, but because of finals, I got, trying to play catch up because I've been having a summer fun and catching up with all these political stories that I kind of put aside.
It's political heaven right now. We're in part of the silly season for sure. But go to Facebook and Twitter for Mona Salama, and she'll put up a poll. You get to sound off on it. You get your opinion heard, and you'll be talking to a lot of great conservatives, part of this whole grassroots thing we're doing here between We Are America Radio and Red State Radio and WNJC 1360. All the great things that we're doing here. You can be a part of it. Mona's polls, or as we like to call it around here, the monologue, is something to take part in and be a part of for sure. Mona, we're going to take a break for equal time here for the Reverend Al, but when we come back, I want to hear all about what you were doing at the Stop Iran rally in the People's Republic of New York City. But first, equal time, folks. We give it.
Go ahead.
Let
me give a shout out to Russ for giving me that name. Because if it wasn't for Russ, I wouldn't have that name. So
yes, the monologue developed by Russell Gallo. Well, I like the name. I think you should definitely run with it. I'm going to be using it a lot. Right now, Gene and Mona behind enemy lines are going to take a quick break to allow some equal time for the Reverend Al Sharpton. Gene and Mona behind enemy lines. We'll be back right after this.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
Good evening, Rev. Thanks to you, Ed. Is this Groundhog Day 2? We are watching that was Attorney General Eric Holder, ABDs, about some Republicans at home are already beating the drums of war. Today, the Pentagon refuted that claim. And he said the American people do not want him to, quote, dwindling, they do not want him dwindling his thumbs. You can get a gig as a contortionist. Intravenous fluids and pills coated with gelatin. We don't leave our women or men in uniform behind. It's a monument to the hubris of Dick Cheney, Representative Raul Labrador. Years of abuse. I personally apologized to Mr. Peebles. Just ask to soon-to-be former Congressman. Democrats are outright jitty. CIA's counterterrorism center. Veteran Affairs Secretary Shinseki. Why do I always mess up his name? Shinseki. I love my critics. I have fun with that.
Politics Nation with the Reverend Al Sharpton starts right now. Good evening, Rev.
Good evening, Dr. Dyson.
But wait, there's more.
And we will much about that be committed. So there's no real conflict. Michael Druniak, including Lincoln himself, Daniel Day-Lewis. Behind Monica Lewinsky, the one and only Trey Songz is here. But Allison Lundergan Grimes, Gina De Jesus, when Gina De Jesus, Tea Party challenger Matt Bivens. People don't want to have their Social Security overall. The Republican savior, Mark Rubio's big night in evolution and Galileo. I mean, this whole thing of Galileo. America's changed. Unless IT and Skillets, President Putin doing something similar back in, it won't change this fundamental fact about the GOP. Just how absurd these attacks is. Nearly 6 months after the dangerous traffic jam, the Thai military says, my friend for many years, Ilyana Van Zandt. There's nothing there.
And all we can get is an internet show? So what is Behind Enemy Lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
I'm Vito. And I'm Vito. And we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show. Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com. Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn, it's nothing but the truth.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Let's get back to it. Gene and Mona, back Behind Enemy Lines. Got on the line with me right now, Mona Salama, a contributor to Behind Enemy Lines and a contributor to Politichicks. It's great to have you on the show, Mona. Now, listen, I want you to tell me and our audience everything that you were doing today in the People's Republic of New York City. You went to a rally today, right?
Yes, me and I dragged Vito Giovanni from the Vito and Vito Show. I dragged him, and he had to deal with my cranky body today. Shitting curse. And we attended the rally. Thank God for my press pass. I helped, Vito get in into the press pit. And we walked around for a bit. We tried to get, man on the street videos, but they were not, working because of the speakers. But it was really just to, let everybody know, call Chuck Schumer, because he's a minority leader, and tell him that this should not happen, and whip up those votes to make sure that this Iran deal does not happen.
Right, so this was a Stop Iran rally that was put together with a whole bunch of different speakers. Among them, you were telling me before, was George Pataki and Colonel Allen West, right?
Allen West, and then Allen West, Monica Crowley, and a lot of big another congressman, can't remember the top of his name, and a lot of people who talk about Israel and the Middle East.
All right. Now, was there any speech there that stirred the crowd more than the others?
Allen West.
Oh, yeah? Allen West is a great speaker, isn't he?
Oh, my God. He's the best. He is actually the best speaker. I've never, I have his book and I've seen him speak before, but the way how he just riled up the crowd, when he said, if Iran ever wants to say that's to America, how about you first? That was just, off the hook. I was just wow, this guy is on point. And there was other things he said that, I just can't remember the top of my head. It was, running back home and, coming to the show.
That's no problem. Listen, you've had a whirlwind day between the Stop Iran rally. I think you did Dr. Gina's internet TV show, and now you're with us, and we really appreciate you doing that. George Pataki was there. Now, of course, he's running for president. How was he on the podium?
It was actually really good. He reminded people that, 9/11 and, how this deal, if this is to occur, how, God forbid, if what happened in 9/11 can happen in Israel or can happen anywhere else around the world. And, how he knows that, that we need a commander-in-chief. And he told, he told the crowd, Hillary Clinton at that time, who was our senator of New York, she was there consoling with the 343 firefighters that got killed in 9/11, and how she talked to all the families, and she's supportive of this deal, and we don't need a appeaser-chief, we need a commander-in-chief. So he actually kind of riled up the crowd for it, but he was very repetitive in his speech. You know, like Iran should not have this, Iran should not have this, Iran should not have this. So.
Well, okay, well, repetition helps when you want to get your message out, so I can see why you went that route. Now, tell me about the crowd. Was it a large crowd? Was it mostly what you would expect,
large.
first responders and things like that?
They said it was estimated that 12,000 people came. It was a 4-block radius from 42nd Street, 7th Avenue to 38th Street, 7th Avenue.
Wow.
And it was really a huge crowd. A lot of Jews were there, you know, supporting a lot of, like, a lot of non-Jews were there also. Me and Vito got a lot of good pictures that we're going to...
That sounds great. I look forward to seeing those pictures.
Like the way how, like, they talk about the Obama and everything, and like how this deal should not happen, and like Iran equals bomb, and like Obama all one big A mistake, America.
You know, let's talk about the Iran deal just for 1 second, because your family is of Middle Eastern descent, in case people couldn't guess from your name. And this deal has to hit home for you a little bit, because I'm sure you have family in the region, and basically Obama has started a nuclear arms race in that area of the world and has made it a much more unstable and much scarier place. Am I right?
Yeah. So the audience doesn't know, my father's of Egyptian descent, my mother's American, and like, right now Egypt is fighting ISIS. Every single day our Navy and our Army people are getting killed in the Sinai and getting killed in the capital. That, like, you know, the American people really doesn't talk about it on the TV that much. And ever since we overthrew the Muslim Brotherhood president, we have a good president. He's a general. And he's been asking Obama, please help me. I need weapons. We need to stop ISIS. They're growing. They're killing my people. They're not only killing my people, they're killing Syrians. They're killing Sunni Muslims who are, you know, the good Muslims out there who just want to live a peaceful life. And help us. We need to contain these idiots. And Obama is just like, yeah, whatever. And then he goes and makes a deal with the worst type of people out there. They're not even Middle Eastern, or like, they're not even Arab descent. They're Persian. And he's making deals with people who are saying jet to America, but his own allies in the Middle East, which you need, you know, who are supportive of Israel, he's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, he's just like going brush his shoulders off. Like, no. Like, Obama needs to, like, I don't know where his head is spinning, but this is, like, really affecting a lot of Arabs right now. A lot of Muslims, like, especially during Eid, when, like, the ISIS are just, like, killing people from nonstop, especially during the holy month of Ramadan. They claim that they're Muslim, and yet they're killing people all the damn time. So they're not even Muslim. They're just barbaric human beings, and they just need to get wiped off this damn planet. Not Israel. ISIS needs to get wiped off the damn planet.
I hear you on that, and I definitely join with you. Now, Mona, when you were at this rally, you actually took some Periscope videos along with that other Vito guy that we're not going to plug on the show. Oh, fine, we will. Vito and Vito show, which comes on tomorrow at 8 p.m. on We Are America Radio, the #1 political talk station on Live365.com, and also on WNJC 1360 AM, Fridays at 1 p.m. You took some Periscope videos that are now up and viewable, right?
Yeah, Vito G taught me how to use Periscope. It was just like, yeah, like, I didn't know what it was about. I knew about it, but I didn't really test it out. But it was really good. But it's like Snapchat. It only stays for 24 hours. So I have it saved on my phone. I'm gonna upload it on my YouTube account. And we took a lot of videos, and we got a lot of like hits. Me and Vito with people watching it live. And I think Vito got a lot of like negative comments with his video.
Interesting.
Yeah, like somebody said that That's America or That's America, I can't remember.
Wow, that's I can't wait to see those videos, Mona. We definitely want to get them up on the blog, www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. And listen, we're coming up on the end of the show because we started a little early. I want to thank you so much for everything that you do for the show and all the excursions that we go out on and all the things you do. Mona's basically our trip coordinator for Behind Enemy Lines and gets us to all these different places, even though when I'm too tired to go, Mona gets me there because she gets me so pumped to do this stuff. Mona, plug yourself again on Twitter, at Political Crazy, right? And you are a Politichick. Go to politichicks.com.
Yes. I'm one of like the main contributors covering the presidential race for Politichicks. And anything that happens with cop stories, I'm very pro-cop, so if anything happens, I'm always there to support them. And Behind Enemy Lines. That's where you can find me.
Rock on, chick. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I'll be talking to you really, really soon. Thanks again.
Bye. All right.
All right, guys, that was Mona Salama. We have just about enough time for a final thought. And normally we would do Buffoon of the Week here, but because Russ isn't here, it really isn't too much fun. I don't like competing against myself and competing in the chat room and things like that. Russ has been my main competition. Shout out to my boy, Russ Gallo. We miss you, pal. We hope you're safe during your drills with your National Guard unit, and we'll be talking to you real soon. But for my final thought here tonight, I just want to touch on my final thought from last week and just keep this going. A second video has now been released showing an official high up in Planned Parenthood selling baby parts and negotiating baby parts. Absolutely ridiculous. This is, once is an isolated incident, twice is something you have to consider, and there's going to be more coming. This is now a trend. If Congress doesn't act to defund Planned Parenthood, I may have to start a march on Washington to get that done. I'm sure that there'll be thousands of others there behind me. We cannot tolerate this sort of behavior in civilized society. I refuse to have my tax dollars go to an organization that harvests and sells the body parts of dead fetuses and babies. It cannot stand in this nation. I hope you join me in that. But for now, we're out of time, folks. I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. Judson Phillips, Matt Schlapp, Mona Salama, everyone in the chat room joined us. The chat room rocked out today, and I really appreciate all you listening live. Folks, it's time to shut this sucker down. I'm Gene Baradelli. This was Behind Enemy Lines, and we are out of here.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Back in 7 days. Out.
The leader in talk radio on the internet. Right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.